Hey guys, welcome to Neat Movie News. My name is Dean Thomas.
His name is Dean. We like Dean.
Yes, I finally have gotten some video. It's probably not the greatest quality here, but we're moving forward with this, with my channel a little bit. So we got some video back up here for some movie reviews, and it is the first movie review of 2017. So I thought this was the perfect time to get some video involved with this. And that movie that I'm reviewing is the new J.A. Bayona film, A Monster Calls.
What did he do?
He called for a monster.
Looking forward to this movie for a really, really long time. I know some people had started seeing it way back in like October or something. It's finally getting its wide release here in the first week of January. And the basic story is you follow this kid Connor, who's, I'm gonna say something about 10, 12 years old, and his mom, played by Felicity Jones, is terminally ill with cancer. And this kind of follows his story of trying to cope with that. It feels like his life is falling in around him. He's being bullied at school. So he imagines or dreams, or the movie doesn't really tell you at first, he imagines this giant monster voiced by Liam Neeson. And this monster, which is a giant tree, kind of helps him get through the grief. It tells him the tree tells him these three stories that are meant to teach him a lesson and get him through these times and teach him something. And I liked this movie. I was really hoping for something special because J.A. Bayona's last film, The Impossible, which is about the giant tsunami that hit Thailand in 2004, I've never cried so much during a movie other than that movie. That movie just emotionally hit me. I had heard this movie was similar in the emotional themes, so I was really, really looking forward to it. And like I said, I liked it. There's some really cool elements in here. J.A. Bayona does some really interesting things. When the monster tells his three stories, and I think it's just within the first two, he does this very interesting thing of telling them through these animations. But they're more than just that. They're these kind of, it's like a pastel. It's these watercolors telling these stories. And the way those stories are told are visually really, really cool. It's something unique. It's very fantastical. This is a fantasy movie, and it feels a little bit like a children's book kind of come to life as far as the imagery goes. Like I said, the use of watercolors. Now the stories, the material within them, they're not necessarily kid friendly. They're not R-rated or anything like that, but they have some very overarching kind of adult sort of themes, because Connor really has been forced to grow up much faster than normal kids because of what he's going through. But what I really did like about this movie is that there weren't a lot of cliche characters. Sigourney Weaver plays his grandma, and in the trailer they present her to be very much, that very strict, cold grandmother who doesn't care, don't touch anything in my house. But in reality, that's not the case. You actually understand her. She's a full-fledged character. You understand a little bit why she is the way she is, what's going on in her life that's forcing her to be that way. But there's also just a lot more to her within the movie when you actually see it. Toby Kebbell is really good as Connor's dad in this. He's not really in the movie a lot, but he's still a good character. Felicity Jones is really good, as well as his mom. But clearly the story is told through Connor's perspective, and Connor is played by, I believe the kid's name is Lewis McDougall, and he is good in the movie, and I will not take anything away from his performance, but for whatever reason, I just could not emotionally get invested into his character as much as I wanted to, as much as I thought I would. This movie, I had heard so many people like, bring a box of Kleenex because you're going to be crying a lot. And for me, there was definitely some times where you get a little teary-eyed and you kind of get that burning sensation in your nose just a little bit. But for whatever reason, for me, it would happen like real quick, and then it would go away, and then never really hit me as hard as I actually wanted it to. As weird as that may sound, I wanted this movie to emotionally hit me, and it really it didn't hit me the way I wanted to. I had a couple problems with the script here and there as well. I don't want to get into that because I might get into some spoiler territory. But the visuals are really cool. The tree is really, really cool. Liam Neeson's voice is perfect for it. That looked really cool. Like I said, there's some really cool visuals, some interesting, like the visuals within the story kind of remind me of the Deathly Hallows story they tell in Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 1. It's kind of, it looks like a children's book, and then there's narration over the top of it. So it kind of reminded me of that, and I thought it was very effective for what the story was going for. The stories are very cool visually, and I get the point of why they were in there and the themes and story trying to be told. But for whatever reason, I also just, I didn't love the stories and I didn't love how they paid off in the end as much either. So for me, I think A Monster Calls is a good movie. I just didn't love it as much as I wanted to. So I'm going to go ahead and score this thing relatively fair. I'm going to give it a 77%. I do think this movie, it's going to be one of those things. I could see some people really not liking it, some people like me coming in middle of the road. But I can definitely see there's some things in this movie that could really hit some people hard and they could really emotionally get invested into it. But for whatever reason, like I said, for me, I couldn't quite get invested into Connor as a character as much. For whatever reason, because I thought the actor, Lewis McDougall, played him well, but it didn't grab me the way I wanted it to. So for me, I will give A Monster Calls 77%. Well, there you guys have it. That is my review of A Monster Calls. Make sure you follow me on Twitter at Neat Movie News for all the latest in the world of movies. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we will see you back here next time.